These days, the idea of being alone makes us feel uncomfortable and even afraid. We constantly look for companionship, and sometimes we accept any socializing opportunities just to avoid being alone. But many wise spiritual teachers have recommended periods of being alone. If being alone makes us feel sad and lonely, why would they recommend it? And why being alone makes us feel sad anyway? Is there any way we can turn this around and get to the blessings those spiritual teachers have talked about? Our brains are wired to see being alone as dangerous regardless of the circumstances. So, as soon as we are alone, our brain creates a signal in the form of an emotion, which is usually sadness, to let us know we are in danger. So, we have to do something about it. This happens because our ancestors knew that sticking together in groups increased their chances of surviving in the wild. They relied on each other for protection, finding food, and even mating. Since then, human life conditions or circumstances have changed significantly, but it seems that change happens so quickly that our brain hasn't quite caught up with the change, and we are still wired to think we need companionship to survive. Now, without knowing why, we feel sad when we are alone and we feel the compulsion to find any companionship. But the problem is, when we are with others, usually the compulsive action takes over and we get carried away from our core. In the noise of our outside world, we often lose the sight of our true purpose and direction. When we are not aligned with our core, what remains in our relationships with others are just human egos interacting with each other instead of our authentic selves. This is why, even when we are surrounded by others, we may still feel lonely. As humans, we need periods of solitude or being alone in order to pause, reflect, and realign ourselves with our true self and our purpose. In order to do this correctly and intentionally, we need to differentiate between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is not an escape from reality. Solitude is not about avoiding others due to our emotional wounds from our past relationships. Solitude is a space where our own company is enough. In solitude, we remove distractions and our mind is free from constant external influence. Being alone gives us the opportunity for self reflection, spiritual growth, and deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As humans, we have this ability to sit in stillness and connect with our inner being. And this gives us the ability to act with purpose rather than by compulsion. Since ancient times, wise teachers have talked about the blessings of solitude and lived that way. Rumi said, "Solitude is where we find ourselves in the embrace of the divine silence." Solitude has also been a source of inspiration for scientists like Albert Einstein, who once said, "The more powerful and original a mind, the more it will incline toward the religion of solitude." So let's see why solitude has been recommended and appreciated through history. Going on the path of personal and spiritual growth requires us to encounter all aspects of ourselves and discover our true self that has been covered with the dust of our life experiences. Solitude gives us this opportunity to explore our thoughts and emotions without distraction. And in those quiet moments alone, we become clear about the patterns of thinking and emotions that we need to let go of. Now, recognizing these patterns may not be easy, and maybe that's another reason many people avoid being alone and they don't like it. But neglecting those patterns could lead to a difficult life. When we are alone, we get to discover our true selves beyond all identities, roles, and expectations of others. In solitude, we create a space for consciousness to come in, and then we get to see all aspects of ourselves in the light of consciousness. Our weaknesses, our strengths, our shadow side, our light side, all of that. And that enables us to embrace ourselves, to accept ourselves, and believe in our uniqueness. This transformation through solitude improves our emotional intelligence, and it's a way for us to show ourselves how much we love ourselves. And through this transformation, we get to understand and empathize with our own feelings and feelings of others. As we strengthen our connection with ourselves, our authenticity and presence gets reflected in our interaction with others. So, approaching relationships from a place of self awareness forms connections based on honesty, empathy, and respect. In being alone, we discover our interconnectedness with the world and we understand that our personal growth is intertwined with the growth of others. By nurturing ourselves through being alone, we contribute positively to the collective consciousness and we advocate for positive changes around us. My journey into solitude wasn't a deliberate one at the beginning. It was due to immigration and the path I chose for my life, a path that not many are willing to choose. But through my willingness to learn and grow, I learned to value and appreciate the time I was alone. Now, my favorite part of the day is when I am alone. Sometimes I'm not completely alone. I am accompanied with the teachings of my mentors who are either alive or passed away long time ago. But most of the time I'm alone. And in solitude, I become more relaxed. I become more creative and even more productive. Spending so much time alone helped me rediscover myself, wipe away the dust that had covered my soul, and realign myself and my life with my purpose. Was it easy? No, at the beginning it wasn't easy. I suffered from loneliness. I had no idea that loneliness is completely different from being alone. But when I accepted my aloneness and I started to appreciate the values it brought to my life, then the blessings showed up. Now I am much happier having those periods of solitude in my life. They help me to stay clear, and clarity is power. I'm not lost anymore, and I am so grateful that I get to have those periods of solitude in my life. So, here I offer you some tips for embracing solitude. Schedule alone time. Make alone time a part of your daily or weekly routine. Dedicate time just to be alone. As we are not used to spending time with ourselves, we may just overlook our decision to be alone. But make this a priority and put it on your schedule. You can try the idea of having a date with yourself as the famous author Julia Cameron recommends. Take your time. At the beginning, you may feel lonely and sad as soon as you're alone. That's totally natural. It's because our brain is wired that way and we are not used to being alone. So be compassionate and kind toward yourself during this period and take your time to get used to being alone. Use low key activities. To help with that feeling of sadness or loneliness, find some simple low-key activities that needs minimal effort and allow you to be fully present. Consider activities like coloring, knitting, painting rocks, or drawing flowers, and so on. Minimize distractions. Also, during those periods of solitude, remove all distractions, especially your phone. Compulsively checking your phone won't let you connect with yourself. Solitude isn't just about being alone. It's a powerful tool for personal growth, creativity, and building meaningful connections. Being alone is often misunderstood, and the people who want to have alone time may seem unfriendly or even weird to others. But when you realize it opens you up to creativity, inner peace, and spiritual growth, you will go for it wholeheartedly. Every time you come out, you find yourself more resilient, more loving, and more compassionate. Thank you for being with me today. If you like my content, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Until next week.